Okay, we're live. This is the second segment of the Clarey Podcast, but we're also going to be doing it on YouTube. And I have a guest. Some of you, I don't know, how prominent would you say you are, Francis, in the red? I mean, you and Bernard hang out a fair amount.
I think I'm in an incipient mode right now, just beginning to make some waves in this manosphere environment.
Yeah, you're not an unknown. You're like nobody that came out of left field. So you've been lurking here and there a bit, right?
Lurking, more of a fan, an observer. And I asked the question, I don't know who came looking for who or who found who first, whether it was the culture, the manosphere, or if I was looking for it. I think it was a combination of the two of those.
Yeah, nobody knows. Honestly, it's like, well, how'd you mean? It's like, God, the hell if I remember how we. I don't know how got me on how was it virology or the path or whatever. But yeah, well, I'm glad you're here, because when you were on Bernard Chapin's channel the last time, I didn't realize it, but you're one of the. I don't mean to say this in a derogatory, but you're certainly one of the wiser members of the Red Pill community, shall we say?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
You're not at a nursing home, but,
No,
but you got a couple years. Yeah, but me and Bern, we're kind of on the upper limit. And then I was listening to you talking with Bern the other time, and I'm like, holy shit, we got a guy you just turned 50, right?
Yeah.
So you're down the rabbit hole further than us. And, the Rooshes and the me and the Bern, we've kind of been helping out the 20-somethings. But I'm like, you got to be a gold mine for wisdom and experience to predict what's going to happen down the next 10 years or 20 years, or in some of the younger guys' lives, 30 years down the path.
I do have speculation. I haven't been as much of a player as you fellows have been. I haven't published really anything, although see this, and Arini asked me this about my blog. All of my media stuff, my social media stuff, is commercially based to promote my services as a piano player. And I made the mistake of combining my political rhetoric into that. And I realized I need to separate this. And it's not that I don't care if someone's not going to hire me or I'm going to get fired from my fucking job, because I'm in that fuck it mode right now, where I can see that the tides are turning, and those that have ostracized me are beginning to look at me differently, in a way that they're saying, all that stuff that he was saying, gee, it looks like it's starting to pan out for him. Yeah, that's right, baby. I'm coming for you.
Well, and the other thing I found, I mean, this is nothing with the topic I call you, but it's interesting nonetheless, is pick a fucking side. And what I've found is once I pick the side, because look, if you're one of these namby-pamby, not to say that your politics should have anything to do with your financial or career success, but when you pick a side, you know what? You're damn fucking right. I'm going to hire somebody who's a conservative or libertarian, outspoken. I'd rather hire somebody accused of being a racist or a sexist, because at least I know that person stood for something and has a little bit of moral caliber in them. Is going to be a harder working, better work ethic type of person than some whiny, complaining, SJW doxing type millennial. So I've noticed it in my background. Like when I said, fuck it, I don't care about banking anymore. Here I am full time. You don't want to hire me. You want to go fuck yourself. I don't care. I've been a minimalist. Now I finally have like a fuck you position. And life is just too short to be worried about. But yeah, I mean, welcome to the right side, because if anything, people are going to hire you because they know I'd rather have my money go to a non-socialist leftist piece of shit. I'd rather go hire Francis.
Yeah, and this culture of the social justice warriors, they really think that they are in the majority and they are destroying us. They don't realize that perhaps that there are other people that would appeal to what we're doing and hire us and consider us for things and perhaps want to get to know us. Never occurs to them.
Well, yeah, but they're as far as they're concerned, everyone is a social justice warrior. Yeah. They're living at home, they're living in their artificial environment, they're living under academia. I mean, it's so they really do think that there is no one out there. But I'd also have to imagine. I mean, certainly by my age and certainly by your age, I mean, you're like, fuck it. I got 30 years, maybe at most, to live on this planet. I'm not walking around eggshells anymore, and it's time to. And one of the greatest things I've found is like breathing fresh air, to be able to talk bluntly, candidly, and like a fucking mature adult, and not have to worry about offending people's fragile, purposely made fragile sensibilities just so they can play a victim card. It's just nice to be able to talk in the locker room and shoot the shit with normal and real men and women.
It is, and I have been looking forward to these days. I remember being in my teens and my 20s and watching my father and his friends. My parents were 40 years older than me, so they had me kind of late. Perhaps I was a surprise. I have 3 older siblings, 10, 11, and 12 years older. So I grew up in an adult environment, and I've had the pleasure of watching my father. The guy never owned a pair of jeans, wore slacks and jackets, dressed very similar to me, despite being a food business owner and a butcher. But at night, he would become this Rat Pack kind of guy, and it was pretty inspiring watching him and seeing his friends come and pick him up in their big cars, their Cadillacs, and their things like that. I know it's a cliche, but it was pretty cool.
Well, yeah, now you're playing piano. That's not coincidence, I'd imagine.
What do you mean?
Well, like if he's listening to the Rat Pack and he's listening to Frank Sinatra, musically inclined, and now you're a pianist, I mean, I'd imagine he must have had some influence on you.
It did. My folks grew up in the World War II era, so I heard that music all of my life. And then my siblings came along and listened to that baby boomer generation. So I also got that influence, which, despite our criticism for the baby boomers, a lot of the music was pretty good and influenced by the big band era.
Yeah, no, you don't, because I told Paul, hang on for a sec. Give me a second. I'm going to go turn off my fan because it's making it backwards. Just give me a second.
Sure.
In Minnesota, I got to keep the fire going, and I have the fireplace as well going on just to keep the darn house. So anyway, well, listen, let me give the background for my readers so they know why you're on. You were on Burns' show, and what really caught my eye is you're talking about how you're getting back into dating, you're in your 50s, and how apparently the women have never learned. It's like they didn't learn anything with an equivalent amount of years experience and life lessons. Yeah. And I was sitting there thinking, like, because I've been out of the system. I've been out of dating for a decade now. Found a very nice girl.
Lucky you.
And yeah, and I am. The more and more time goes on, the more wisdom I get. I realize how lucky I am. But what I remember, middle school, there was always this expectation that not just women, but your peers, people in general, would mature, wake up, and get their shit together. But since we're men, we're interested in dating and women, the focus was on women. But I remember, in middle school, your mom would be telling you, oh, it gets better in high school. Then you get to high school, it's just like, okay, it's middle school, but everyone maybe has a little bit more pubic hair. And then, oh, don't worry, it'll get better in college. You get to college, and it's just, that was a shit show. No one's any more mature. No one's got the wisdom. This nirvana that you're supposed to be making it to, this land of Canaan, never comes to fruition.
Right.
And say, oh, well, then you think, okay, when we get in the real world, when all the artificial supports are pulled out, and they hit they have this rude awakening by the real world, they're going to realize and appreciate, yeah, I put myself through college, I worked hard, I'm a good man, blah, blah, blah. And then they'll finally, and I think by about 25, and I was successful dating. I mean, I was very successful dating. But by the time I was 25, I remember just going through this depression, like, it ain't good. There's no nirvana. There's no holy land. There's no nirvana. There's no anything like that. And then it's like, oh crap, now you got to go and maybe find a quality gal. So through another roughly decade of painful dating, dealing with trouble. What are you doing over there, Francis? You moving something? Is that me or you? Where's your microphone?
It's on my iPad.
Is anything moving? You don't have like a cat brushing against it, do you?
Do you hear hissing?
No, I hear like a rumbling or something. I want to make sure it's not me or you. I don't hear it now.
Okay.
It's maybe it was me.
It might be my here. Might be my my teacups.
Are they bubbling? Are they percolating now?
No, they're clinging.
Oh, they're clinging. Oh, nah, not that. But anyway, it's gone away. Anyway,
right.
So then about 35, find a girl. Okay, done. I'm out, and I don't think I'll ever go back. But that's just me. That's just my personal situation. There are millions of young men out there. And by young, I mean people, you know, under 50, people in their 40s and 30s who may be under this expectation that women hit the wall, women finally wake up. There might be some kind of, not necessarily poetic justice, but a wisdom that is gained. And from your experiences, it doesn't sound like that at all. So I wanted to interview you and find out, what have you been experiencing, and what wisdom can you pass on to those younger than you?
Okay. The attractive women, the ones I want to date, seem to be the most difficult to spend time with, because, as we just said, they have not matured in a certain way in their demeanor, and they're still using the methods and the techniques that they used when they were in their early 20s, mid 20s, as they are in their late 40s and 50s. And it's very frustrating to think that you're speaking to a contemporary, but you're actually speaking to someone who is having similar issues to someone who's 25.
So you're looking at a 50-year-old woman, and I guess that's going to be a hard thing, is trying to get over what your eyes and most of your brain is telling you. Here's an aged woman. You think she'd be a mature adult, but and it's like you can't see it, but all of a sudden parts of your brain goes off. You're like, oh my gosh, this is a child that you're dealing with.
It is, and part of it, I would assume, you could say that it's caused by the social media and the dating sites, because they're suddenly throwing themselves into a larger pool of men, and they're getting requests and hits and things like that. So suddenly it's feeding into their celebrity mindset, which is already in place because they're watching a lot of TV, and the culture, the television is telling them that you are a celebrity, you should be celebrated all the time. So when they go onto social media and they subscribe to dating sites, and suddenly, and you can reinforce this just by Googling that. The ratio of messaging for men compared to women will receive, and those that are a 5 and a 6 above will receive at least 50 to 100 requests every day. Yeah. So they think, wow, I'm really the shit. So I'm going to keep trading up and trading up and trading up until, okay, what's the end game here? How much longer are you going to trade up? And do you understand that there is going to be a point where most of us will no longer find you attractive? That's what they're heading for. And I met one of these women who lied about her age, and she posted very attractive photos of herself from probably 15 years ago. Did not look like that when I met her. And the typical scenario, she's living off her father's estate. She's living in a nice condo in what's called mainline Philadelphia. You can look that up. It's kind of an upscale, posh area.
There is an upscale, posh area to Philadelphia?
It's called the mainline.
Wow, I must have missed it, because I saw a nuclear testing ground as far as I was concerned when I went up there.
It's just outside the city limits. Yeah.
King of Prussia area, sort of, I presume.
Sort of like that.
Okay,
yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And I thought, wow, she doesn't know yet. She doesn't know it yet. I was attracted to her photos. I'm not attracted to the person that's in front of me, and she's not getting it. And she is going to be the epitome of the cat lady. It's coming. Her condo looked like shit. Expensive condo, looked like shit, smelled, and there was pets all over the place. So I said, lady, the writing is not only on the wall, but it's all over the floor.
Well, and by her own tacit admission, even no matter how unconscious it may have been, you have to know at a certain level when you're posting a picture of yourself 15 years older.
Yeah, right. Yeah, true.
And so I'm just, they must be lying to themselves. I mean, you got the media lying to them. And well, and empirically though, however, if they put up a fake profile that attracts men because of their physique, you got the internet lying to them. I mean, it just seems like this bubble keeps going on, and they just, I mean, it's a gray world that I don't know how to tackle it or even what can be said about it. But if you're going to live in a delusional world, all that can be really said is you're delusional, and then you move on to the next gal. But I mean, what percentage, I mean, in your experience, what percentage of them are putting up fake profiles or kind of live in this delusional world, whether or not it's consciously or unconsciously?
It's not as bad as it was when it started in the late 90s, because the culture has sort of set these unwritten rules about that kind of thing, and the message has gotten out there. But there are still, so I've been doing this for a year, and we could talk about how I dropped out for 15 years. There's not as many women lying about their photos. Of course, they're lying about everything else, but it's not as bad as it was when I did it, when online dating first started. There was a lot of that, photos of them 10 years ago and things like that. And this is when they were in their 30s, late 20s, and they were still posting photos from them in high school. Really?
Well, they're going for the pedophile market there. That's
right. I'm gonna grab my phone. I'm gonna read my my dating profile thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go ahead. I'll get some music going on. Tall and oh, you're right back. I thought you were going to go for a while. Okay.
No.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, and I've done a lot of research in what makes the best profile, what makes the best this and that and the other thing. And yeah, I suppose they're all good, but you know, as I said, I'm in this fuck it mode. So my my self-summary reads: I assume you want to meet an actual man that is mature, physically fit, mentally and financially capable, and will not tolerate your behaviors that have been responsible for leading you into a seemingly perpetual single life devoid of a strong man. If you think you are ready to meet a man that won't tolerate your bullshit, then carefully craft the appropriate kind of message that will attract my interest. Otherwise, if you feel triggered, don't reply, just look frightened and scuttle.
Well, that's good. That's very well crafted indeed. I imagine you had some success with it.
This is a few days old, and I've gotten some responses in appreciation to the bluntness of it and the sincerity of it.
Okay. So then is most of the stuff you're doing online, or are you still doing like in-person approaches? I don't know. I don't want to say like you're walking up and saying, hey, where's the nearest pet store a la Roosh? But I mean, is most of your stuff done online? Is that where, quote, the market is nowadays, even for those 50 and up?
It is, because of the convenience. And there are quite a few places, and I keep talking about the area that I live in and the town that I live in. It's pretty happening. There are a lot of places to go to, and there are a lot of adult places to go to, not adult like bookstore, mature places to go to, and that's fun. I've had some success there, also with meetup groups. But the thing that's funny, you and I were talking about meetup groups the other day. The person that creates the group, especially in this one example, I assume that they create these meetup groups because they want to get laid, and it's just another way of doing that and creating an environment where a lot of women are coming in and they can kind of pick and choose who they want. And this guy was a real kind of a Weasley kind of guy, and I come in with my Frank Sinatra demeanor and whatnot.
Oh, he didn't like you, I bet.
No. No. And he kicked me out 2 months into it, accusing me of harassing, accusing me of talking to the other people that were going to these events, which you are allowed to do. The application allows you to do that.
Wait, hold it. You're in a meetup group, but traditionally you're not supposed to talk to people? What's the point of a meetup group?
Precisely. So he's making up these rules so that he can have his pick of the litter. And so I was kind of taken back, and and I felt kind of ostracized. I thought, wow, I must have really done something here. Someone had, and this is after he took me out of the group, someone from the group had invited me to one of the meetups. I was like, fuck yeah, I'm going to confront this asshole. So I go there and I start talking to the other people about what happened. And they say, gee, that's funny, because we do that all the time. We speak within the application all the time. That's very strange. So as I'm walking into the group with the lady that invited me, I walked past the sponsor and I said, hey, how's it going, asshole?
I hope it was in front of everybody.
It was in front of everybody.
Good.
And he was kind of taken back. And then I did it again because I really wanted to make a point here. I really wanted to establish the alpha thing here. And it seemed to make everyone uncomfortable, but I'm kind of thinking in the back of their minds, they're thinking, wow, this guy is really hot, but I don't know how to act upon that. Well, too bad, you missed out.
All right. Well, it's what's sad is it doesn't seem any different than when you're in your 20s. I guess, which is the whole, from the men and the women. The women are delusional. There's an expectations or a narcissist bubble, and then they get the skeezy men plotting. Because I was in the ballroom dancing, and there was stuff like that going on too. And I thought, we can write it off as something in the 20s and people were younger. But I kind of took a flyby recently in both the swing dance scene and the salsa scene. And this has been almost 10 years since I poked my head in. And it's sad how it's the exact same. Like nothing has changed. No new blood. If anything, it's become more of a sausage fest. The swing dance community has pretty much just become a location or a safe space for the theater majors in college. It's you don't want to procreate or mix your genes with the people going to the swing dance scene. But it just doesn't seem like anything has changed since you, explain this. You took a hiatus for 15 years. I mean, nothing's changed in that 15 years, it sounds like. Where were you for this 15 years and why'd you leave?
I started college late, and there's another story, a tragic story that happened when I was 18 years old. In short, my folks owned a place in the Jersey Shore, and I spent summers there working. There was a couple that lived a few towns over that had purchased a pizza shop just because they were bored. And the husband had suffered a terrible tragedy, a car accident, and was physically deformed. She was 40 years old. I was 18, and she pursued me heavily. Well, that turned into a 4-year relationship.
Wow.
And I got to see her girlfriends and these baby boomers, and all of them were experimenting with swinging, experimenting with the divorce, experimenting with extramarital affairs, and it was the cool thing. And that was a real turnoff because I was raised traditional Catholic, so I had been looking forward to just recreating what my parents had done. And so that took a time to get over. And I was the one that left, but it was the world that I was exposed to that really did a number on me.
So this is what, in the 70s, I'd imagine, early 80s?
This is mid 80s, 86.
Mid 80s. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So I started college. I became a freshman at 27 and met someone, luckily my age. But again, the expectations she had, at 28, she wanted to be some sort of a Los Angeles, Hollywood insider at 28. And it's like, no, people don't do this. They do this when they're 14 and they get screwed by pedophiles, and then they become stars. And I truly thought that I was going to marry her and have children with her, and that was really devastating when that broke off. And I tried a few more times, met someone else a few years later, but I had been so distraught and depressed because of all of this. I had been experiencing panic attacks that were crippling. And so I took medications to remedy that. And I just started taking them right at the time I started this relationship. And I thought, okay, this is the one that I'm going to marry, and we're going to have children. She meets that criteria. But the medication sort of took my ambition out of the relationship. So it kind of just went away, much to her chagrin. So I made the decision at that point, okay, I've got other things to do in my life. So I dove back into school, which I shouldn't have, picked up 2 more degrees. So that took about 10 years. And I really consciously ignored the dating scene because it just looked very vicious and cruel and unfair.
When your previous experiences probably weren't reflecting positively on that either.
Precisely. Yeah. And I couldn't believe the carelessness of people. The way that they were going about their lives and treating marriage as it was passé. This traditional conservative life is passé. It's cool to be a heathen now, and to be a single mom, which you talked about that a lot.
Right. I can't help it. It's shoved in my face daily. So
yeah.
So this is just to get a timeline though. So this is like what, mid 90s, late 90s about?
Late 90s, yeah.
Late 90s. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So I focused on my career as a piano player, which takes a lot of time, a lot of practicing, learning a lot of repertoire, learning a lot of different styles of music to broaden my marketability. So that was kind of great to do that. So now I'm in my late 40s. And I thought,
round
okay,
2 or something, give it another shot.
Yeah, I'm in a pretty good place now, and so let's see how things are. I put a thing on one of the dating sites, and I begin dating, and it's like, fuck. Nothing has changed.
You know what? You don't have to say any more. That basically summarizes the entire interview right there. Fuck. What's it like dating in your 50s? Fuck. And that's it. That's from Francis. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And I think, I think I'm pretty cool. I'm thin. I'm muscular. I work out a little bit. And I play the goddamn piano. And I like to talk about funny things, and I think I'm pretty cool, pretty neat. But I'm not getting that in return. And I think it's because, as I said, there are so many guys that are in line to date these women that I want to date. So they'll look at me and say, yeah, this guy's got something going on, but maybe there's somebody better. And they just keep trading up and trading up and trading up and trading up. Yeah.
So then it's been your experience. I mean, literally the same fundamental principles or variables or traits that drove the, whatever we want to call it, the female narcissistic delusional bubble, or hierarchy, or what's it called? Hypergamy, but whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Those same forces are now in play regardless of age.
Yes.
And you have the same amount of thirsty men. And apparently it doesn't matter I mean, I hear women complaining about, I just did a video, a client came in for Asshole Consulting. He was talking about women complaining about you become invisible to men at 50. Well, that's invisible to the men that you want to be visible to. But from your perspective, if you're looking at, what did you say, 5 or 6 or up, just average looking or better, they have plenty of men throwing themselves at them.
Yeah, yeah.
And is there any, in your experiences, does it matter whether or not they have kids, divorce? I mean, does anything matter? Or is it just she's pretty and there's a limitless supply of these white knights and beta orbiters that are going to come in and bail her out?
There are these limitless amounts of white knights that come in and bail them out. And that's the other thing. The dating sites for people around my age are flooded. They're muddying up the water, these divorced single moms. And it's frustrating because there are women that are out there that have not, or that are single and don't have any kids. And they're kind of the red herring, which puts them in a bit of a higher criteria than the women with kids. But there's so many of them. Somebody needs to create a dating sites for single people without kids. I think there's something there. And of course, there might not be the numbers for it, but I think there are enough numbers for people that are in this category for it to have success, especially if they make it exclusive like that.
So are they talking about people just in general, people without children, or are they talking single women without children?
Single male and female without children. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And so I'd imagine the single women without children must come at a premium. Are they like, so, because I'm trying to reconcile this. You're saying that these women want to find a guy without children as well, and therefore there should be a secondary kind of more elite or higher quality website set up? Or is it that only men are interested in chasing after these women without the children and they kind of ignore the single moms because they're flooding? I'm kind of trying to figure out your point.
I think if someone who is a bit savvy with marketing and is looking to perhaps capitalize on the internet dating scene, despite it being out there for almost 20 years now, if there is some sort of niche to have, it would be creating a site exclusively for single people. And perhaps you can tailor it to mature adults without children, rather than opening it up to everyone. Because when you're in your late 20s and early 30s, you still might. Well, it doesn't make sense. I guess if you would you could still join and then decide to have children, but the niche would be targeted for women who are at an age where they can't have children anymore, and men like me that wanted to have kids but didn't have kids, and have a tailored dating
sub niche or something.
Yeah, for that kind of thing. Yeah.
So then, have you had any success running into finding these childless women, or is it they have an expectations that is even more delusional than the single moms out there?
It's even more delusional because, yeah.
So it almost makes it moot, because if you can't even land these gals who are single moms, divorced with 5 different baby daddies, don't need no man, woman, bicycle trademark, well, good luck getting the gal who actually doesn't have another man's kid. So I'm just saying, this is what I want to find out. Like, what kind of uphill battle are you facing?
Oh yeah, and it is an uphill battle. There was someone, and it's really nice when someone messages me first, and there was this lady, 58 years old, smoking. This lady took care of herself, smoking. Typical marketing bullshit job. And so I was 49 at the time. So this was a few weeks before I turned 50. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna have a shot here.
You could go after a cougar. You can be the Cradle Robbie.
Sure. Well, I've been there before. Yeah. and and I was a little reluctant because I'm thinking, she might be lying about the photos. No, she looked like her photos. She was really attractive. And we had a great date. We were laughing, going back and forth, touching. And I'm thinking, okay, yeah, this might happen. Never heard from her again.
Because she's got so much life expectancy left.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, really, you're going to be 60 years old, and you're dating someone who's almost 10 years younger than you. Use me to show me off to your friends. Jesus Christ, my God.
See, but that's the sad thing, and that's what I wanted my listeners, and I want this to get out there, because this probably happened to you when you were in your 20s. It happened to, I think, every guy out there. Is you're on a date, everything's going swimmingly. Best date I ever had in my life. I've said it before, but I'll tell you the story. And best date I ever had in my life, by far. First date. You could have asked me at that point in time, Aaron, how much do you want to bet you're going to have a second date? And I would have said, let me go and borrow as much money as I can from the bank. I'll mortgage my house. I'll donate blood. I'll sell myself into slavery, and I will put everything on the fact that I'm going to go on a second date. And this is not like I'm some 16, 18-year-old idiot kid. I was like, I think 26, 27 at the time.
Yeah.
And, this was that? Yeah, no, this was cell phone time. So it wasn't like where you had to worry about the voicemail. But I'd call, you'd never hear back. Call again, and you're so confused, like you said, you're 10 years her junior. You have your shit going on. Yeah. You're the fucking prize. What do you have that's better? And then you say, your experiences also said, I thought you liked me. I certainly liked you. And then crickets, just fucking crickets.
Yeah.
And this bullshit. And maybe it's because I have a very good grandma. And I think when women got older, I'm not talking much older, because when I was a child, my grandma was in her 50s. So I'm looking and well, my grandmother is very nice. My grandmother would never do that. That's very unbecoming of a lady.
Yes.
And
and
unbecoming of a lady, just basic fucking courtesy. Yep. And now it's they're still 22-year-old party girls.
Yes.
At thrice the age, almost thrice the age in your
I know. And so she's probably still getting a flood of suitors chasing her, and she's enjoying that. And this is where I'm gonna give another fuck it, I don't care. Most women have not experienced the pleasure of being choke fucked. And I think,
be careful. I know a buddy of mine died from that. From that. Be careful, man. I know it's great. It's great, but just be careful.
I don't mean that in practice, but I don't really think that they have really experienced very good sexual encounters. And I'm not talking about crazy pornographic shit or choke fucking, but I like to use that word because it sounds visceral and it sounds very raw. And the other thing that women need to know about men, look, it's not that we just want to fuck you, but we want to love you.
Coming off of choke fucking, that's a good sales pitch.
Yeah. But
I don't want to choke fuck you. I want to love you too.
Right. But in a very loving way. Yeah, I want to cuddle afterwards. Yeah, I do.
I know exactly what you're saying, but it's just going to be, it's such a hard sales pitch again, especially given the brainwashing and the women don't know and they think that we're all grabbing women by the pussy. But yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, but you're not even going to get to that stage when you have this constant delusion and one-upmanship. I mean, okay, so have all your dates been like that? Or, I mean, I guess they're all different or unique in one particular situation or another. But I mean, you've gone on more than one date. Is there always a sense of it's torpedoed from the beginning or a futile endeavor?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, what other reports do you have from the front line? I mean, that's one particular instance of a gal where, you would have think it was in the bag and then it didn't come through. So that's one aspect that young men experience and they can expect to experience down the road. Do any of these women show any signs of divorce or regret over getting divorced or having children outside of marriage or ruining a family? I mean, is there any sign of progress or acknowledgement or maturity or even the awareness that they've hit the wall or about to hit the wall and that they're finite? Like, hey, you got like 10 years left of life expectancy. Maybe you might want to settle down.
I'm glad you brought that up. No. And it's because they don't have regrets, because if they're watching TV, the TV is telling them, despite all of the colossal mistakes that you made in your life, it's okay. Just kind of twist it in a way that sounds productive, or it sounds like it's not so bad. So no, they're not having these regrets in their lives, that the things that they've done and their failures. And they're not particularly humble either, because in the popular media, and I haven't watched TV in 11 years, but I have the internet, so I'm still getting bits and pieces of that, and I can check every once now and then and say, oh yeah, that thing is still going on. Women are celebrated every day on television commercials, sitcoms, movies. Women that are superheroes and beating up Navy SEALs and things like that. So it almost doesn't matter what they have done in their lives that seem unappealing, because no one is calling them out on that. And you said that, I put that in that promo clip for Burns' show. Women have an amalgamation of something going on, but no one will say no to them because they want to fuck them.
Oh, that's Bill Burr. Yeah, Bill Burr says they got a tornado of misinformation saying, I have the most difficult job in the planet. And no one corrects him because we want to fuck them. Yeah, I mean, It's the most brilliant, poignant statement in all of comedic history.
Right. So I'm going to change that. I'm changing that approach. I'm going to start calling women on their shit. And just for an experiment, just for fun. At this point, I don't care if I don't get laid, and that kind of thing. I just want to have fun seeing their reaction to when I say something to the effect of what they've never heard a man say to them before.
Well, like your profile.
Yeah, precisely.
Yeah, I mean that is the statement. They've never, and if you want to, I hate to say following the law of red pill, but more following a law of economics, that they get, as you pointed out, flooded daily with "you're pretty, I really like you," blah blah blah. But they're not. Yours is rare. Yours is not common, and that by itself, because it's novel, it's unique, it's rare, is going to give it value. They may be offended. But I almost guarantee you're going to have a higher success rate than whatever the previous strategies of millions of other men have been.
I would think so, because they have to get bored of these cucks and these beta males coming after them. Like I said, they really want to be choked up. Or they
Smoked in the ass, something.
Yes, they have not experienced being manhandled, not in an abusive way, but you know what I mean. I don't think they've had the experience of how a classic man would treat them, and I really truly think that they are longing for that, and they've got to be bored with this constant praise all the time. And it's not simply the bad boy kind of thing, because guys can fake the bad boy thing. They can just get a motorcycle, get some tattoos.
Hey, I represent that. Knock that off. I don't blow my cover, man. Nobody knows, but my motorcycle just sits in the shed, and I occasionally take a picture sitting on it. I don't even know how to ride the damn thing.
I love motorcycles, man. I wish, and I would have motorcycles, but if I crash, these are the first things to go, and I can't afford that. So, my other guilty pleasure.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. That has won me many dates. Leaving a pistol, like if they ever like, oh my God, is that a? No, it's true. It goes right back to what you were talking about before. manly? No, like, because I'm not comfortable every time. God, now there's a bet I could make where I should have taken out the mortgage and bet everything and sold myself into slavery. Every time a girl says, well, I don't like guns, that girl was sucking my dick like 3 out of 4 times. And like, all you have to do is take them to the gun range. Then they think, oh, this is pretty cool. It's like, let me take the bullets out of that before you actually hurt yourself. And then sure enough, that, it never hurt me. It never hurt me when a girl found out that I like guns. But getting back to it, it's like, how often do these women run into that? They got guys constantly kissing their ass.
Yes.
And how can you respect someone that's kissing your ass?
Yeah.
And it is indistinguishable from the millions of commodity males that just, regular old commodity males. And then the guy comes in and says, no, fuck you. Now I'm going over here. And if you'd like to show up, that's nice. But otherwise, I don't care if you do or not. So I think you're onto something, which is a universal wisdom that you would give any man regardless of age.
Yeah. And there is a turning point coming, and the turning point has occurred with Trump and things like that. Like, as I said, women have been pursued for the past 20 years by these beta males, flooded with these beta males. Sandman talks about it. Roosh talks about it. All the guys that write for the Manosphere realm and Return of Kings, all of them discuss this, that there are these beta males that are hovering all the time that are giving them compliments. They've got to be tired of this, and they've got to be longing by now for a guy who is the antithesis of that. And I think, it's time for that now, for them to realize, all these, it's great. Yeah, I'm getting all these messages from these guys, but look, fellas, I want to be treated a certain way. I want to be treated the way a classic man would treat a woman. I want to be put in my place. And I've heard women say this before. I want a man that's going to put me in my place. Well, baby, you tell me the right place.
It's very charitable of you, Francis. It's nice you're willing to put. Ladies, if you want to be put in your place, Francis has volunteered. You can contact me or just put a comment below and find Francis's dating profile. He will, and it's I think that's truly American, what you are doing, and patriotic, putting these women in their place.
Yes, it is. It is. Yeah. Yeah. So someone's going to do it.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, you're not 25 anymore. You're twice the age of 25. I mean, after a while, and this kind of happened to me when I was 25, 26, where I was like, especially even before that in college, like, well, do I put food on the table or do I chase girls? Like, well, I got to put food on the table because Maslow's hierarchy of needs is kicking in. You got your piano, you got your guns, you got your life, and you don't have as much of it as when you did when you're 25. I mean, after a while, you got to be saying, you know what? I need a positive return on investment. I cannot be wasting my time online, sending out profiles. I can't be wasting my time going out on dates like this. And soon, I mean, is it even worth it anymore? I mean, I know you're not approaching dating using your original strategy. Now you've kind of have zero fucks given, and it's become more of an experiment to you. But I mean, I'd say compared to 25, even compared to last year, has it been to the point where like, fuck it, I don't have time for this, I'm going to scale back?
Yeah, it's not the priority anymore as it was the first 6 months when I decided to go back into it. That became the priority, and it consumed me, and it did hurt me a little bit emotionally and financially. And I recognized that rather quickly, and I had been able to pull myself out of that. So now it's just another one of the things that I have going on in my life. Yeah, I spend time with it. I maintain it, but it's not the first priority any longer.
Right. I mean, you only have a certain amount of time left, and anyone only has a certain amount of time here. And in the ironic sense, and of course, it's kind of funny you say it ironic, but we're coming up on this being like 10 years of genuine wisdom. It's new, it's embryonic, it's an infant stage in the grand scheme of human wisdom. But I kind of, and this is why I want to spread this around, say, hey, it does not change, and here's a new aspect to it. But focusing on yourself and doing your own thing, that's what got me the most girls and landed me the quality girl that I have today, or what few quality girls I did date when I was younger.
Yeah, women do like men with ambition. You don't necessarily have to have money. You just need to have ambition and seem even have the illusion that you have something going on. But she can figure that out rather quickly. Yeah, be genuine about that. Get your shit together and have something going on with your job and your passion, your hobbies, your other interests, and things like that. And don't let any women make fun of that. That's another thing. Women like to kind of make fun of men for manly behavior. Don't let them do that. Call them out on that.
I want to go into another segment here because, again, I do want to capitalize on your wisdom. Sure. You're down the rabbit hole further than we are. And after all this, and I won't lie, I don't mean to sound belittling of my girlfriend, but one of the main reasons I settled down is because I didn't want to deal with dating anymore. It was, you know, I could go through the examples. They're almost limitless. And then I have like flashbacks of horror stories back to Vietnam where I forgot about this horrible event that happened. Oh my God, that happened too. But I've had 2 women buck naked lying in my bed who all of a sudden didn't want to have sex. I had one gal that slashed my tires. Another gal that took me to a pregnancy art display and said that one more thrust when a girl says no is rape. I mean, it builds up and then you're like, fuck it. Fuck it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go find this nice 6.5 who's got a little extra weight, but has a fucking job and will run and stay in shape for me and cook for me. Is it enough to drive you to consider marriage? Or is that always, I guess, not even marriage, but settling down?
I would love to be in a relationship. I think I would like being married. Yeah, this dating thing, it is really demeaning. And disrespectful in a lot of ways. No, it's not the thing where it hurts my feelings and that kind of thing. You know, I'm used to that, used to the criticism, especially when you put yourself out there in the social media to the world. Yeah, your friends on Facebook that you've grown up with, they're going to be nice to you. But anyone else outside of that it's going to be fair game. So I lost my train of thought.
Well, just in general, do you want to get married or something? And
yes.
What I'm saying is this amount of bullshit and disrespect and, you know, simple fucking courtesies like showing up on time or showing up at fucking all. If you look back at the amount of bullshit, and I do mean this is not, oh, I hate women, and oh, I've just had bad. This is all men. The amount of bullshit, the unacceptable, childish, immature behavior women put men through when you're trying to date, you're trying to put your best foot forward, and they just say, oh, well, I'm busy. I want to go with Johnny. Or I'm tired. Oh, my mom's sick. Or all that. It's like, you know what? Why the fuck? I'm not good. I want to find it drives you enough to say, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
I'm going to find a quality girl. Which then kind of maybe changes the strategy of dating a little bit for men. But that's what I'm saying. It's got to, like, you've dipped your toe back in for a whopping year and you're like, fuck this shit. Yeah. I'd rather be single, but it can almost drive you to go and find a girl and settle down.
Yeah. As I said, I would love to be in a relationship. I would love to, I love the idea of the prospects of marriage. Yeah. This dating thing, it's unnatural. It's not biological in any ways, and I'm getting tired of it, quite frankly. But I still have to tolerate it because the end game is to meet someone and then have that in my life and manage that along with everything else. Yeah, all this other stuff. It's a terrible distraction. Yeah, and I've got to practice a lot. I have to play the piano a lot. I have to do exercises. I have to do all of that stuff. I have to constantly cultivate and maintain the craft. So yeah, I had been ready to settle down most of my life in my early 20s. And call it what you want, the infestation of cultural Marxism and things like that. I think that has a lot to do with it. Oh,
feminism has wreaked. Yeah. I'd say damn well contributes 60 or at least 50% of the problems we face is this: you don't need a man, the division of labor. You know, I find it, I've said it before, but I find it absolutely hilarious that a bunch of spoiled, rich white cunts from America and the Western civilization who never worked a goddamn day in their life, they think with their little sit at home, live off of daddy or live off of hubby, trophy wife wisdom in the form of feminism, they think 50 years of that bullshit is going to outdo or speaks more directly to the human condition and human relationships than the 2 million years of human evolution, not to mention the billions of years of evolution where you see one male, one, and I'm no big religious guy, but you look at the empirical evidence, you say, you know what? Human cultures, no matter where they were, even separated from oceans, came up with the idea that a man and one woman get to, and then the guy has these roles and the girls have these roles.
Yes.
And you think you're going to fuck with that genetic formula? I mean, yes, absolutely. And the consequences is what you, me, every other guy, and every other gal has gone through right now.
Yeah. And I think there is a very small population that are the troublemakers. The players and the women who are promiscuous that are not glorified, but they're made into the norm of what it is, and that's not true. I think that most people in America, in Christian societies, really don't want to live this life of being a celebrity, and if they do, I think that they kind of learn that, you know, this really wasn't a good idea, and I've blown some years, and I might have screwed up things for myself. I'm past a certain age, I can't have kids, et cetera, et cetera. I think in most Christian societies, most people want this traditional life of getting married one time and having kids and just keep repeating the process over and over again and creating this beautiful society of inventors, of great
artists,
works of art. Yes.
Yeah.
Fun. Everything. Yeah.
Architecture, everything. But
yes.
Well, and then related to that, and I do want your opinion, and I do want your opinion, even if you disagree with me. I would say this: we could make a lot of progress, it's my opinion, where other younger men and women could learn from our mistakes, our experiences, and our pains and trials and tribulations. And I know the MGTOW community is going to get all apeshit over this, but that's because they're too busy jerking off to porn. It is a lot, because I always like using economics, but if you go to a produce section and, you know, people are picking it over, the marriage market or the significant other or the pair bonding market, whatever you want to call it, that clears out. And the good people stay married. Like, if you got a good wife, you got a good girlfriend, you're not going to give her up. And if you got a good husband, you got a good provider, you're typically not going to give them up. And so now, of course, divorce is more common and backgrounds and all that. So I think you could still find a quality husband or wife or partner that has had a divorce under the belt and stuff like that. But all that being said, the market is still clearing like a produce section of cantaloupe. Like, all the good cantaloupe, as time goes on, the good cantaloupe is pretty much selected. I mean, it's been picked over.
Yeah.
And, I mean, is that what you're witnessing? I mean, because I can only, and now taking away age, of course, everyone gets older. I know women hit menopause, blah, blah. I know they're physically deteriorating as time goes on. But are you meeting any of these classy Audrey Hepburns or Sophia Loren's, or is it like you're kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel, and this should be a lesson to younger men saying, like, look, you may want to have that hot chick with the big boobs and the blonde hair, but here's this nice gal over here who really likes you, and she's hot enough, and maybe, you know, she shows up on time, and to quote, what was it, Clerks, not everybody shows up with homemade lasagna for you.
It is the bottom of the barrel. It is. And it's a shame. What was I going to say? The
advocates for getting married. I mean, start early, the market clearing.
Yes. Yeah. First of all, get rid of your television set. That's going to damage you. That's going to distract you. That's going to destroy 10, 15 years of your life and distract you long enough for women to go beyond the age of having children.
You're talking women though, but this would apply to men as well.
Okay. Yes, don't fall into this thing about these players, and we see a lot of this with the rap culture, glorifying a certain lifestyle. That they have, and we need to tell younger men this. Somebody made that up. That's not an actual thing. You might find some anecdotal evidence with that, but somebody in Hollywood or in the music industry created that, and those guys that created that were not living that lifestyle. They might have been just throwing a lot of stuff at the wall to see what would stick, and it just seemed that, okay, that thing is appealing. Let's run with that and pretend that that's the norm. And for men, I think young men think that, yeah, this is the life. Treat women as if they're colostomy bags for semen, and
then they're surprised that they don't have a quality woman that doesn't divorce them and take them for half, like pretty much every NBA basketball player and every rapper. Yeah. And they when they do decide on someone, they typically make poor choices because they're not thinking about the future of, okay, is she going to be responsible? Is she going to make a good mother? Is she going to be a royal pain in the ass? That was just one for me.
Right. Yeah.
Was she pleasant to be around?
Right. Yeah. So the model of I wouldn't say the ideal, but an example of a good woman, a good wife, needs to be promulgated again in our society. I don't think Hollywood is certainly not going to do that, because I think those that in Hollywood are the ones that are fucking things up. Call them what you want, Bolsheviks, Jews, cultural Marxists, and things like that. And I think that's really what they enjoy doing. I think they truly have a contempt for white Christian people, and they just want to fuck things up for us, because we really have and had a good thing going for a long time, and it's threatening to them, and it's very strong, this Christian way of life. And I'm not talking about
I don't even say Christian. I would just say nuclear family.
Nuclear family. Yeah. Okay. Let's use that. And that seems to be the natural occurring thing. Like you said, continents apart, it seems like people choose to live that kind of life no matter where they are. And
to kind of deny that would be living in denial. You're not going to live in reality. You're not going to have any success if you go against that genetic programming.
Yes, and you do have these powerful entities like George Soros and Hollywood that don't like this, and they just want to keep fucking it up. And I think that's their plan. And I don't think that there is this global takeover of something. I don't think the end game is tyranny. I think they just want to keep fucking things up.
I think they're just miserable people.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the people who are against. I'm not joking. I'm not saying this because it's funny or I'm trying to score a point or I'm being slightly intellectually dishonest. I don't know a happy feminist. When I'm driving down the highway, here's something everyone can do. Tell me if this happens to you. I don't know if you play this game, but when I see a Hillary bumper sticker or an Obama bumper sticker, any leftist where the state is more important than my family type, that's the indication. I look over, and if it's a woman, they are never smiling, and they are typically not pretty.
That's true. That's true. That's one type. Then there are the ones that are nefarious. I had someone over during the summer. She was 35. She had a kid, and I vetted her long enough to allow her into my place, and I cannot avoid not speaking about politics and religion, because let's face it, that's the most interesting, and economics. That's the most interesting thing that anyone can ever talk about.
Right. And make sure you're on the same page. Like, I mean, I won't date a socialist because I don't want to be stabbed in my back and have my tax rate go up to 50%.
Yes. So I kind of wanted to, and if you want to truly learn about someone, you need to talk about those kinds of things. Well, it turns out that she was one of these wide-eyed, raging feminists. Crazy drunk chick, raging feminist who could not put the fucking glass down, to the point where we were screaming at each other. I'm like, you have to leave. You've got to get the fuck out of here. Okay, I'm not putting up with this, and this isn't going to go anywhere. So you have to leave now. Yeah.
Well, it will send you into the arms of a woman, a quality one. That it will indeed. So, but anyway, well, look, I do appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And I do hope that a lot of people watch this. I hope a lot of people forward it to younger men, and by younger, I mean, 40s and 30s even, because it doesn't look like things change at all.
Yeah, and I don't, and we don't. You and I don't have all the answers. I don't have all the answers. We have some of the answers. We have speculation, but that's good enough. That's pretty good. And another message is for guys too. Yeah, you need to experiment. You need to take these risks, and yeah, your feelings are going to become hurt. Get used to it. Okay, guys are biologically our proclivity. We have this proclivity for losing, for receiving bad news, for being depressed, for being sad. So that's something that we just have to live with.
Yeah, it makes us stronger in the end.
It does.
Yeah,
it does.
And
it really
that's
does.
Yeah. I mean, the key to success is failure. That's how it is. If you think otherwise, you're a millennial SJW who's in college right now.
Yeah, it truly is. And you can say that about entrepreneurs. It's going to take a half a dozen or a dozen failures until you get that one win. And once you get that one or two wins, then you could start talking about as if you know something. And and you can look back and kind of make fun of yourself for the failures that you've had, because you're not that person anymore. You're now winning.
Right. And if we can help out, I think that's been what the entire point and purpose of the Red Pill, the Manosphere, whatever you want to call it, community has been, is if we can get this wisdom and experience into your young boys' heads, and so you don't make the mistakes we will, you'll at minimum be better than us. And you'll make whole new, completely even more painful fucking mistakes, but they won't be the ones we made. And you'll have a slightly better life than we did.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, Francis, where can everyone find you if they want to listen to your music, or if any young ladies or middle-aged ladies wanted to inquire about courting you?
Just Google Pianist Philadelphia or Pianist Philadelphia Francis X.
Okay. Well, Francis and X is a pretty unique. Yeah, you'll be easy to find then. So.
And that'll bring you to my YouTube channel. That'll bring you to SoundCloud. That'll bring you to my Facebook page, where I have videos of me performing, live recordings and things like that. And the SoundCloud, of course, has about 100 tracks.
Sweet. Is it all free for download?
Most of it is. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
You got an album that people can buy, or have you not put one together?
I haven't put one together. I don't know. Is it worth it? Is there money in that? My thing is performing. But I do want to do these live recorded performances and put them on YouTube that are not highly edited. There's this fellow, and I think I've sent you a link, Scott Bradley, postmodern jukebox. This guy really landed himself into popularity, where he takes contemporary music. Take, for example, the song All About the Bass. There's this lovely young lady playing a stand-up bass. She's the one singing. Scott Bradley is playing the piano, and he has someone playing drums, and the shot takes place in, it might be his apartment or somebody's house, but it's one shot. This video has had 16 million views. Well, yeah, and this guy has since then, I mean, people are lining up because they want to perform with him. They want to do these videos with him. And for the past 2 years now, he's been touring with all these people now. And so I kind of want to do that because it doesn't seem like anyone else is doing that. He's really gotten that market, but there's plenty of room for other people to do that sort of thing. And I'm trying to get the guys, the bands that I'm in here in my hometown, I'm trying to get them to understand that, look, there's something to this social media thing. We don't have to keep doing these stupid goddamn smoky bars for $25 fucking a night. And all these guys have jobs, day jobs. I don't. This is what I do. So I'm trying to get them to create live video recordings. So we'll see what happens. But that's where you can find me. Yeah. Cool.
All right. Well, thanks. Well, listen, thanks for coming on the show.
pleasure.
Anybody tuning in, you can go to my site, assholeconsulting.com, and that's not a joke website. That's legit. And then you're going to be on Burns' show anytime soon? You're going to be on anybody else's show? Or
this Sunday, yeah.
This Sunday. Okay. All right. Sounds good. Well, send me the link or hit me up. All right?
All right. We'll do.
All right. Thanks, Francis.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
All right.